Junkie Nation, what up? Catching up with Kevin Lee, who's got a fight coming up at let's see, PFL 6. It's their semifinals against Gadzhi Rabadanov.
Yep.
So that means there's 4 left, and he joins the party here as, I guess you're an alternate, right, Kev? Because there was an injury. You step in now on about a month's notice. So I got that right?
I'm not sure if it's an alternate, but I'm stepping into the tournament as a late replacement. We can call
but
it.
the 500K is in play for you, right?
Yeah. It's this fight, and then you go to the finals. But honestly, I ain't even thinking about it. I ain't thinking too much further.
All right. Well, would you say life just happened to kind of come back around and give you a break? You know, you got screwed with that MMA bare knuckle, the GFL. A lot of things have been happening. Obviously, even going back to last year, you know, you offered the UFC an opportunity to get in the back door, not take the easy route, and you know, you didn't catch some of them breaks. Now you caught a break, but do you treat life like that? Like it's just kind of karma, or you catch some good ones and some bad ones?
Yeah, I try and stay not too you know, focused about what could have happened or what did happen. It just is what it is. And honestly, this is the best result of it. You know, even trying to go back to the UFC, my whole goal has been to prove that I'm still one of the top lightweights in the world, that I'm still one of the top fighters. And look, I got that opportunity now. This guy is tough. You know, the best fighters aren't always in the UFC. We've seen it with Bellator. We've seen it with other PFL champions. We saw it back in the days with WEC. We saw it with Strikeforce. We saw it with all over the board. You know, there's good fighters all around the world, and this guy is one of them. He's on a hell of a win streak. He won PFL's last tournament at lightweight, 2024, and it's my chance to go out there and shut him down and prove that I'm still one of the best guys, because he does train at the team where they hold all of the lightweight titles right now. So to take one of them away from him is going to feel pretty good.
Don't forget Pride too. Pride showed the UFC what's up a few times, but you're right. You make your point is valid, and I think most historical fans and even younger fans are well aware. We got Kayla Harrison and Patchy Mix. They're going to try to prove the same point this week, and it comes full circle. All right, now obviously we've known you for a while, so I think I can get away with this because I think this is how most fans think, and I'll never lie to you. It's what I thought when I heard this. It was about a week ago or so, and the only thing I'm going, ooh, how is it? How is he looking? Is he in shape? 155. Update us. You know, does anyone need to worry or anything like that?
No, I'm in shape for the fight. The weight cut's going great. I mean, I'm more disciplined now than I ever was even in the past. And I think me not having to cut the weight for 5 years, that was the last time that I fought at lightweight. That's honestly giving my body a little bit of a break, and my mental a little bit of a break. When you go through fight camp after fight camp after fight camp, you get small, then you get big, then you get small, then you get big. These last 6 months especially, I've really honed in on my diet, and I've really honed in on my discipline around eating. And I think you're going to see that when I step onto the scale. When I step on the scale, and especially when I step into the cage, he's going to be real surprised at how big, strong, and lean I am.
Do you by any chance know Paul Felder? And here's what I'm getting at. He walks around really lean. So I don't know if he had to take off muscle. He's retired, obviously, no. But I don't know what kind of a change did you have to make that puts you in the position where you're calm, confident, it's no longer an issue?
Honestly, the biggest one is sugar for me. Getting off of sugar. I've been off of sugar for about 6 weeks now, and I don't know. I feel the change in my mind. I feel the change in my ability to keep going. I don't know if it's the whole ketogenic and, you know, making sure that your body is breaking down fat versus sugar as far as its main energy source. But once I get away from sugar, I feel very, very good, and I feel very disciplined. And I think that's where you see the best me. I think my best fights have always come at lightweight because I had to stay so disciplined in the training camp. Where versus when I took fights at welterweight, which honestly really surrounded around my knee issues and not being able to train as hard and not being able to put the same volume and run as much as I needed to. You didn't necessarily always see the best me. But for this one, I've been extremely disciplined. I've already set in my mind that I was going to make the weight, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think you're going to see a totally different, a totally new, and a totally more composed Kevin Lee.
You get caught up in USA wrestling versus Russian wrestling or anything like that? Like, is that something like a personal challenge within the actual?
I think so. I think it's a nice story of the fight. You know, the last time that I fought a Russian or somebody from that area was 2015. We fought in Ireland, and when going into that fight, one of my main goals was to show that American wrestling is better, and I proved that. Lo and behold, 10 years later, I get a chance to prove it again, and I get a chance to prove it against a guy who's from a team who's really known for their wrestling. So I think that'll be a nice little chip on my shoulder that I can go out there and put on for the Americans. I'm the American boy, you know, as much as if America accept me or not, my story, everything behind me is 100% American. And I stand proud with that.
Now, I was going to ask you a very similar question, because as soon as I heard this, how many shows have we spent? And it doesn't matter where you were in the rankings or how many wins you had in a row or how many losses. Whenever Khabib's name was brought up, we would always bring your name up, because you just seemed like you had this little bit of a kryptonite style where you did have the wrestling to combat with him, but you also had the speed, the intelligence, the submissions. And we always would say, I think this guy's his kryptonite, but it just never came to fruition. However, now we get kind of a little bit of a glimpse of how those two styles clash. So that is something that you kind of still carry with you, right? Because I think a lot of fans kind of gave you shit for that online and stuff like that. But we all said, like, we felt like that might have been Khabib's kryptonite had you guys ever matched up against each other.
Yeah, I mean, I've called out that team for a long time, mostly because they're good. Like, they hold all the lightweight titles right now. They held the Bellator title before Bellator, went away this year, but they held the PFL title, and then they hold the UFC title in Islam. They're very good. You know, I called out Islam for a long time too. My fight against Charles Oliveira in Brazil was actually supposed to be Islam in Russia. That was supposed to be the fight to be had. And I think that they avoided that fight for a reason. But now, since this guy got hurt and I'm stepping in and he's going to try and make a name off of me, they can't avoid it no more. And I hope that their whole team is there to watch.
Hey, Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about your maturity level, I guess, at this point?
Yep.
Winning a fight and getting money. How different is it from the earlier days of Kevin Lee winning a fight and getting money? Because we've noticed throughout your career, you've kind of made like smart investments and bought properties and started businesses and stuff like that, where I think early on in life, when we're younger, we're just like, man, give me that whip, give me that nice car, give me this. Like, how different is it for you now in the thought process of fights?
Yeah, my motivation is totally different now. You know, I got a son, I got another kid on the way right now. She's only 3 months. She'll be due in December. But my motivations and everything is totally different. I don't spend my money frivolously. I don't really chase that lifestyle anymore. I don't necessarily need to. I don't feel like I need to. I really fall in love with this sport and just the warrior way in general. And when you go back and you study like the old warriors, the ancient warriors, they've got regimens set up to where, you do your chores, you do simple things, but you do them consistently, and it makes you a better person and a better man. And honestly, that's why I really love this sport. I think this sport makes me a better person. I think it makes me a better father, a better man, a better martial artist, a better fighter, all of that. And these fights like this is where you really get to test that, because on a day-to-day basis, you could say I'm doing my best. You could say I'm pushing forward. I'm doing this and that. But once you get punched in the face, then you really find out like who you really are, like on the deepest level of yourself. Once you put your soul and your heart and all the hard work out there, then you really found out who you are. And that's one of the things that I really love about this sport. My motivations are different. I'm not looking at it like, oh, I can win $500,000, even though $500,000 sounds pretty good right now, especially when you got a baby on the way. That's not necessarily my motivation. My motivation is to grow as a person, as a fighter. And I think that's what makes me a genuine person.
We were just talking about Patchy Mix and the scenario he's in. He has a fight that where he's in shorter notice, right? But we were talking about how maybe that might actually be less stressful for him. You don't think about so many things. What's it like for you?
Yeah, I think it helps me. Sure, I only got less than a month to prepare for the guy, but he's only got less than a month to prepare for me too. And I'm a totally different beast and a totally different animal. And I've got a lot of experience against very high level fighters. I think after the first exchange, he's going to realize the level, and he's going to realize my technical ability, my speed, my strength, my power, all of those things all stack in my favor. So the short notice don't necessarily bother me too much. I mean, it makes the weight cut a little bit harder, but besides that, that's the only downside to it. The good side is I don't have to spend 6 months thinking about this guy. I had to spend, less than 6 weeks. So I think that's actually a really good thing.
I'm going to steal a question from Goes. He often asks fighters, if you go back into your resume, your hit list of all the fights that you've had, which Kevin Lee would you want to show up on June 20th, where you can say, oh man, I felt great. The weight cut was great. The recovery was great. Everything was on point. Is there a fight or two that you can point to where you say, I want to summon some of that?
It would be my fight versus Edson Barboza. That was the fight. I was coming off the loss to Tony Ferguson, the loss of my first world title, the loss of my head coach. That one had a lot of pressure behind it. Not only that, but I was fighting Edson Barboza, who I watched for a long time, and I was actually a fan of. And I was very scared of him. I was very scared to end up on the wrong side of a highlight reel. That made me really dial in my focus for the fight. And I think for this one, it mirrors that in a lot of ways. Obviously my coach didn't kill himself this time after a world title loss, which was heavy on me. But going into a fight with that fear, with that, okay, I've been calling out this team for over 10 years now. Now I finally get my chance. Like, now it's here. I have to show up and I have to be ready for it. And I have to be totally locked in on that. If I'm not, if I have even a second of doubt, or if I have even a second of my confidence or my attention wavering, then it's going to be a bad night, which I'll make sure it's not.
Speaking of coaches, who will be in your corner for this fight?
I've got Ong Lasong in my corner for this one. Ong's an amazing guy. He's a two-weight world champion, and he's a two-weight world champion for a reason. I've really noticed that throughout this training camp. He's very meticulous, and he's very he makes sure that I put in the work and the correct work going into it. He really breaks down film. Ong's my guy. He's a great guy.
The Dewey Coper connection is done, or is it on hold? Or
no, I love Dewey. Right now there's a lot of moving pieces, and I think he's traveling right now. A lot of people are traveling, so I don't know if he'll necessarily be in the corner for this one, but Dewey's always going to be my right hand man.
What about Little Bro, the popular food critic? You guys are always rolling together as well?
Yeah, I think he's going to be there. He's going to be in France the night before doing like a speaking engagement. So it depends on if his flight can get there in time. So, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things going around. But the great thing is that it's just me versus him out there. It's just and it's all on me, and all the chips are stacked in my corner, which I really kind of prefer that. I kind of like that. I kind of like being the underdog, being the bad guy, being the guy who everybody doubts and puts out. And I'm going to bet it all on black. I'm going to bet it all on black every time. I'll bet my house on black and fuck red.
Last thing here. So PFL is not just like here's a contract, let's see how it goes. Are you with them now, or can you still explore other stuff, and then parallel with however this fight goes?
From right now, I'm with PFL, and I think after this fight, I'll probably be their marquee guy, and we'll continue to get bigger and bigger. But yeah, for right now, I'm with PFL, and that's where it's at. We never know what the future holds. We never know, where the biggest challenge is going to come from. But PFL.
Back to goes to wrap up the interview with Kevin Lee here, our guest, who's fighting Gadzhi Rabadanov on June 20th. It's PFL semifinal 6. Go ahead, goes.
Kevin, our sport is filled with so much highs and lows for everyone involved.
Yep.
What's going to end up happening here with GFL and all these other things that, like, to promise fighters certain things and not hold up that end of the bargain?
Yeah.
We were talking about a child on the way. There's a lot of planning that fighters do, and when other people don't hold up their end of the bargain, it really sucks. What do you have planned, or how do you handle all that?
Yeah, we're going through an arbitration with them. We're going through the court system. I don't think that they handled the situation in the right way. It would have been good just to be upfront about certain things. So, like I said, I can't. It's legal, so I can't really speak on it too much. But they definitely did us dirty. They did me dirty. They signed over 150 people that they did dirty, and I really feel bad for the guys who cut off other promotions in order to put all their eggs in that basket. So I think that there's going to be some hell to pay for that, and everything will come to light. I think a lot of people look at it and say, okay, why are you suing the GFL if obviously they don't have any money? But for me, it's about something bigger than that. We need to see, bank records and everything behind the scenes, and really bring transparency to the sport. I wanted to sign with GFL because they were adamant about bringing transparency to the sport as far as like how much these events are making, how much people are getting paid, this and that. And one way or another, we're going to get that.
That seems fair to me. Good luck with that, man. And good luck with this training camp. What do you got? Like 2 weeks left, maybe a week and a half. Then you got to work on the weight cut, and then the fun. The fun begins on the 20th. There he's got his 8-pack going.
But you see, we already shredding up,
Nice, man.
We're already shredding up. So I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready to fight.
Abs of steel. If I were to do it, it'd be abs of steel. So that's why I ain't doing it. Anyway, fellas, always great to chat with you, Kaylee. And we'll check in with you, man, in a couple of weeks here after the fight's done, and hopefully you get your hand raised. Tough opponent, but that's the only way you roll. They're always tough.
You guys are going to be part of the celebration tour for sure.
All right, we'll see you, man.